Good morning. Oh, you didn't get your fancy opening. No fancy opening today. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's get back to it here. Get the blue light glasses going and get to it. I expect really, let me just make sure the mic didn't jump. Yep, the mic jumped. It did jump. Tends to do that. Hello, that should be better. I think the volume's going to slow down as the week goes on. I think the volatility is going to increase. I think a lot of people are going to get sucked into this thinking, oh, it's over, and then buy. You usually get some retests, some areas. And then after that, you want to see if you're going to hold or not. I tend to sell into these kinds of rallies on light volume days and then recoup and then come back to it. I don't really care what I miss. I'll just tell you like how I usually do it. Like last night I was even selling some Google, which I think is going to be a monster out at like 310 on the overnight market, just because I didn't want to come in if it hit the call wall and then have to make another decision on where to get out and all of that. Right. And, maybe it holds that call, that level up here. Maybe it doesn't, from last night really. But to me, I don't need the last dollar in this kind of stuff in the market like this. You got to be super, super careful. I do think some of this stuff has gotten really overdone. Like the one thing that I would say to you is there were some really big articles on DRAM pricing and what's going on in that whole memory space. So for me, looking at, SanDisk today and looking at Micron today, I mean, it's actually like looking in the mirror, right, of these charts. You are getting to a point here where, yeah, you might still get more selling, but you are getting to a point here where, you're down $60, $70 and you're almost down 80 at one point from the high on a company that everybody wants to own. So, you're down 25% or 70 points from the high. And then you come and take a look here, you're probably down 100 or damn close to it, right? 102 at one point. So can it get worse? Oh my God, yeah, it can always get worse. The issue really becomes how much worse, and then what are you willing to do about it? So this kind of market I love because people, it's one thing if like these companies were missing earnings, and they're just not missing earnings. So I really lean into that. And I do think some of these other names are going to have problems. Like I think AMD's got a real issue here, across the board, but we'll see how that goes. So, and then go from there, but we'll see. And we'll see how that goes. But all right, let's get back to this and see how that goes. So, yeah, I'd watch that area, but some of this stuff's at like really critical levels, like real critical levels. I'm not really sure it's all going to hold. I think they're going to do the winners and losers. I think that's the stage really we're at right now. I think there's news on this ARQT. The way it's moving. It's actually starting to move a little stronger than I thought. Oh, not really. All right. Best sector out there is going to be biotech, hands down. It's not even close. Let's go through the indexes and take a look here and see what we have. So this is Thursday's level. That was that peak, that fall off. And it looks like you're trying to hold that level and you bounced. If we go and take a look at Sunday and that close, that Sunday level hit, and that's it, right? I do think there's something to that. And you probably want to watch that. I'd probably want to watch that VWAP and the fact that you've been fighting it ever since. And then you have a level right here that you held. You can see that right there on Friday. And that was a level that we were fighting and then we retested. So that 6,600 seems pretty damn clean. So I'd be watching that too. But I think if you lay it out like this, And you can see if that's going to bother us or not. And it might not. Then we'd want to see how this goes. See if we can get up to there. Sorry, you're gonna have to deal with the slurping. Yeah, I mean, I really, that's kind of how I see the larger or the shorter term setups. Let's click on this and save it. Make sure I'm in the right thing, and then we'll go from there. So see something on the 4 hour very quickly and just see if we're seeing anything there. Like, you're not really getting above a lot, right? You're getting above this and you're flagging from that bottom. So you do have a flag and you are respecting the VWAP on that. So if we drop that down, let's just see a couple things real quick. So you're at the high end of that bar, right? And you're not breaking that, are you? So you're really at the high end of that. I don't know that that's going to break, guys. I don't know you're going to have enough today. Let's remove that. So the high end of that area is the high end of that value high area. What happens if we drop this here? What do we get? Okay. So that's a real, for lack of a better term, I'll clean it up. That's a real suck salad. Because what you're getting in this area is you're getting this whole, okay. I forgot I have it set up like that. Let me go back to settings. I don't want to extend. And what we'll do is we'll change the color of it too. All right, well, the blue light doesn't let me see freaking blue light, so that's exhausting. There you go. We'll dumb that down a little bit, and let's make it, I don't know, make it outlined to like something like that. There you go. So this whole area right in here, that whole area is you're either hitting the value low of the peak, right? Or you're hitting the value high of this bar. So that's kind of a not great area. Well, that sucks. Well, that's a shock, right? I'm shocked by that. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'd watch that whole area I highlighted because it's either the value. Let me just drop it down to there. It's either the value low of the peak or it's the value high of that bar. So I'm not really sure. Hold on 1 second. Let me just say this again. I'm going to make sure I got this saved because that's really important to me. Value low of the peak volume profile, volume high of the long 4 hour red bar in blue. Okay. Well, that doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy. It's kind of annoying, really. All right, let's go to the NQ and see what we find there. All right, we'll start all over. I don't want to start over. So the volume's holding. Let's drop the volume profile, drop it like it's hot. Crap. So there it is, right? Staring at you. Look at it. Let's go to the volume high or the peak. Use your words. Oh, for God's sake. All right, so this sucks. You need to watch that blue area today. You can screenshot them. You need to watch them. That's a concern because see, when you get these points of confluence, right? When you get these points of confluence, that becomes an issue for me. It does become an issue for me. You know, I'm going to do this too while I'm thinking about it because I'll forget. And I'm going to send it out in an email today too. If you guys get TradingView, I'm going to drop a link in here. TradingView is like 80% off now. I'll get through some names too. So I'm going to just, I'll do it this way. And I'm going to just drop that. Is that going to work? Does that work? That kind of worked, right? And now it's in there twice. Oh, for God's sake. Hold on. Let's delete that comment. That didn't work. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to work them internets. Maybe it works this way. Yeah, this is really when you should be focused on it more than anything. I do it every year. I think I re-up every single year here. And they just add the days to it. Let me drop this in because I'm going to forget. I know I'm going to forget to do the other thing. Okay, so now it's not going to carry over. So now it's just playing with me, screwing with me. All right. Okay, let's see if this will let me delete this. We're going to try one more time, and then I'm done. All right. All right, that should do it. I think that does it. There you go. But you definitely want to do it now if you're thinking about it because it's ridiculous the way it's priced. I don't know how they get away with doing that for their business. It seems absolutely insane to me that they do this. And let me just see something here. And then go to this and go to this. And then I'm done with it. We're getting there. All right, so let's get rid of hearing me duplicated. Pinned. Yay. All right. So you can just go there. It's 80% off. I would definitely do it if you do it. All right, great. Let's go. I think the larger issue is I don't know that you're going to get the volume or what the driving force is going to be to get you over. So what do you really have? You have Dell this week, right? So Dell laid a bunch of people off. Stock's gotten absolutely shellacked. And you're coming out with earnings on Tuesday. And you're sitting at that 200-day moving average. You've really gotten beaten down and you're back to where you were after last earnings. And if you really look at it, you're almost back to where you were 2 earnings and you're lower than where you were 3 earnings ago or 4 earnings ago. So like when you really kind of look at this, and I'm just going to get rid of everything for a second and look at it this way. And then I'm just going to drop a line to the low of the 200 and then just go here and show you something. So like here we are on Dell, right? And then I'll just, I'll clone it. It'll probably be easier that way to just grab it, move it. And so then here's the other, and then what we'll do is just clone it again. And let's just clone it again. So that's done, right? And if we go and take a look at this area, okay. All right, work with me. I was doing so good with them internets. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. There it is. And we go and look at where you're at. The last 4 quarters are this area. So it's kind of interesting to me. Obviously, you got down on this one. So it's kind of interesting to me that you're just sitting there and expectations are so low. Expectations on earnings are really, really freaking low. So I don't know, man. Are they going to suck that much? If they do, then SMCI is in a lot of trouble. I actually think you're better off. You might even want to do a pair trade where you're like long Dell, short SMCI. But realistically, I don't think there's that much expectations for this name. Like, I truly don't think so. So, it should be fairly interesting to see how it does. And I don't know that it's something you really want to, sleep on. So, we'll just keep watching it and kind of going from there. I think that's best. What else do I have that's of interest? That's of real interest. Google's going to be the leader. They're going to talk about that all for Thanksgiving. You're going to want to watch that. I'm just, before I take questions, I'm trying to think about the stuff that's super interesting. MU down here, I really think they're going to be looking at that today off that 55. The fact that you held biotech, I don't have anything like it. I don't have anything like biotech. Nothing. Lilly might come in today, which would be stupid because NVO is like, can't shoot straight. NVO's drug, the oral doesn't work. There's got to be another company that benefits from that. Oh, ABBV was in IBD. I'm surprised this is down. This was a fascinating study on what they actually do. And I've been getting pitched this stock by people for years. And I'm like the old man shaking his hand at the cloud going, I just buy tech. What a fascinating company. Absolutely fascinating what they're doing. And, I don't know really why I'm not paying attention to it, but really good article in the IBD on this. So you get what else is going to be super important to you this week while I'm thinking about it. And I'm going to take questions. You're going to get PPI this week. People are going to really care about PPI. I believe it's tomorrow. And then you're going to get ADP data and jobless claims. They're going to care a lot about that data this week, guys. And then you're going to have very light volume and we'll go from there. But I wouldn't sleep on it, man. Good morning from Fort Myers, Burlington. Oh, Burlington is earnings tomorrow. Yeah, you got a lot of them little guys. So we keep hearing the consumer sucks. Someone should tell the consumer that they suck, right? It seems to me the consumer just knows what they want. They want some like fancy influencer jeans, maybe A&F can get it together. And so like you're seeing this stuff really get ahead of itself here, right? So, you really saw that move on AEO. So I don't know. I don't know that Burlington Coat Factory is going to fit that model. I will say they went to Walmart. I'll say they certainly didn't go to Target, but I actually think that Target move that might be it. Like, I don't really like doing these kinds of trades, even though I can do them, but this bottom fishing, I don't like doing them, but you might be there. You might have sold down and you might be able to bounce back up to that 100 level. But with Burlington Coat Factory, I don't know. That's a tough one. It really is a tough one. And you moved a lot, man. So, they better be good. And you look at last time, they were good. And all they did was get rid of it and they blew it out. Couldn't get out of it fast enough. I'd be looking more at the names that they already came out with and how they're acting. And there's where you were last time. So there's your rejection, man. So I don't know. I don't know that I'd be going too nuts there ahead of that. I don't know. If I was a betting person, I would say that they still want those Sydney Sweeney jeans. And now she did another collab. And when's that? This next Tuesday? Okay. So I might want to look at that. You know, that's kind of how I say it. Yeah, NVO, like they're in a lot of trouble. You know, 50% of their market is that shot. And, you know, people are advancing. They're coming out with different technologies and different ways to get that drug into people's system. You know, oral is definitely better. Most people don't want to take a shot. So, you know, they want a pill, they can take it home. You know, give me my fancy pill. Um, it's a real problem for them for sure. And you can certainly see that, you know. I don't think there's any real reason to rush into that at all. Let's go to the top and then I'll work my way down. Let's see what we got going here. What's up, Jay? So I don't know that I'd be buying like the smaller ones. I mean, you can try. I don't know that you're going to see a ton of institutions going out there and saying, you know what I need right now? Less liquidity. So I don't see it that way. This is going to kill my neck later. I can already tell. I don't think they're going to want to say, I want less liquidity right now. I don't think that's where any of this is going. So what does that mean? I'd like to see it hold. I don't know that it's going to. I truly don't know that that's going to that holds. I'd like to see it hold. I think that the idea of PLTR, you know, when the guy is out there selling what $1 billion worth of stock, and it's not like he's worth $100 billion. Like it's a lot of stock he sold, isn't it? You really better think about that. You know, I mean, I get it. He's like, we're yelling at the people that are selling the stock, but you're selling the stock. So I don't know what his net worth is. I'll tell you in a minute. Yeah, I mean, when you're selling about 10% of your company, I would take notice. He's worth about what, $10 billion, and I think he's selling $1 billion worth. Like, it's not a small amount of stock that he's dumping, right? I think it's that amount. I think it was like $1 billion or something insane like that. I'd have to look at it again. It certainly would make me wonder, like, you know, I'm not saying that I wouldn't do it myself, but it does make you wonder. You don't really see these other guys dumping 10% of their positions. You know, they're fighting to get more, not less. Amazon held the 200 over and over and over again. I'm not going to be able to get to everybody and all this stuff. But Amazon, I would look at 100% off that 200 day. Go look at how many times it hit there. TXG. You know, anything like this, genomics, I got to go through it all, like ARCG. I'm seeing it in all these names, TNTX, ARQT, is that it? Like these things they're all pushing. They've all come to these breakouts. They all have these like weird wick days that scare the hell out of you. Like that's real. And then they kind of regroup and they push. So I don't know, man. It's definitely something, you know, like INSM, like all this stuff. You know, I got out of this thing at like $116. And I just look at it and go, it's just absolutely crazy what it's done. So to look at anything in biotech, I think makes a ton of sense, man. Like a ton, dude. But you better know the story. Out of those names, I think Micron's going to be the most fun. I don't know that data center growth is going to be that great on the physicality side, right? Where they're physically going to have to go out there and grow the same way. I think that's where the problem with these guys is going to be. The growth is going to slow for them because physically they can't open them up fast enough. So I think that's where NBIs comes in, those types of companies. But then you look at like CoreWeave and you're like, well, what the hell's going on there? I don't know. Um, so you kind of look at that stuff and it makes you wonder, right? So I wonder if they're going to go after Circle the same way they're going after MSTR for that whole data treasury thing. I wonder. It's a pickle because if they do that, yeah, some of those videos, I pack them in, and then there's parts that if you want to learn the process, you should look twice. I actually am hiring a video editor dude because I don't have time to do it, to rip out clips of those things, and then he's going to post the clips. Because some of that stuff is actually like there's lessons. I try to pack it all in like that because I don't have time to do the educational stuff I want to do. Which of these do I give a rat's ass about? I think you need to be really careful here. I wouldn't be going near sound or real. They might work, but I think you have to think about liquidity issues if this gets worse, not better. And I don't know that it's going to get worse. I'll do it now. You want to watch this today. So like move on Thursday peaked. This is usually, if you go back and look at this peak, this is usually where you put a bottom in a market. Go look at September 2nd, go look at October 10th, go look at Thursday. Just FYI, when move starts rolling over, I want to get that out there before I think about it. That doesn't mean that I'm right, dude. It's just like, why would I own this when I could buy Amazon at such a discount or Oracle at such a discount? Like, think about what an institution's thinking right now. The Sophie to me is super interesting. I can't really buy charts like that on regional banks, on value names. If an institution doesn't want a value name, I got to really watch that. Dan, you'll be very happy you're looking at Grab. Hello from Japan. That makes a lot of sense if you think about it. I wonder what Casey's is doing too. Anything, how about Murphy's? No. Wow. Jesus. Really? Huh. This is just so crazy. Everyone's like tech. And here's this little convenience store that sells gas. No one even knows about them. Absolutely insane, right? Just put an alert there. If you're ever fortunate enough to get it there, just buy the damn thing. Yeah, I get this. It does concern me. It's concerning to me on a different level. I tend to not do these trades. I'm going to tell you why. They all start getting all that inflows from all the people that are looking for a safe place to put money. And then after that, I don't know why Progressive's not participating. After they get that money, then they rotate out. That's why I don't do those trades. If you think it's going to continue, you do those trades. It's like me buying XLV names or XLP names. Like by the time I do it, they just rotate out. That's why I always just buy these things, because when I'm wrong, at least I get paid for being wrong. You know, I'm getting 8%. God knows what this one's paying now. Probably what, 10% or something insane. I just buy these things instead, because at least I'll get paid income on them. Why I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. How are these things doing? What's up, Mom? What's up, Tariq? Family lives in North Carolina. It is beautiful there. Is the Daily MACD a turning point? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the histogram is, I usually look at the 4-hour histogram. It's pretty good. I mean, you definitely have a divergence there. Yeah. There's definitely a divergence in the histogram telling you that that's probably going to hold, which fits the narrative of what we're seeing in the move. So that's there. I mean, you could hold here. You know, it is possible. But let me go to, I don't want to go to bear because then I have to do the whole damn thing over again. I'll just do it this way. I would look more at the 4 because it's going to tell you sooner. But yeah, I do. I think that you might be there. I think that's super interesting and worth paying attention to. I don't really see it on the daily, but I think that's super interesting. South Carolina is gorgeous. It's God's country out there, man. Driving around there, I don't think people have a clue how nice that is. You know, my only problem with these kinds of trades is I think that they're over already before they even begun, unless this really continues down. And then the question is, why is this dropping? You know, so I think you're at the higher end of that market, but I don't know that it just keeps continuing. You know, very clear they want to own Google. Yeah, I think there's something to that. I actually think that you're going to see some kind of deal out of Chat GPT, like some really big deal that they're going to need to raise a lot of money. And I think Shop's going to benefit from that big time. Because they're not going to have enough money to compete. And you can see it right there. I mean, you can see that whole band. It's just constant buying in there. So, yeah, I think that there's something to that, man. Every day more wins. All software, man. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, there's definitely something to it, Troy. I mean, there's definitely something going on there with these names. You know, especially when you have the earnings like that and it rips like that. This was one of those names I actually looked at on that Friday, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it because it's the weekend. And then I came in, and then I probably was trading some tech or something. But that was perfect. Like, this was just an absolute, this is where you buy it. It holds. You add to it. It goes higher and higher and higher and pushes. You know, and then you just kind of move the stop up and you just keep trailing it. And now you don't do a damn thing with it except, you know, maybe 27 close, you know, 27, 25 becomes the stop now. It just keeps pushing. You know, that's probably like your stop area in there. If you bought in here, you know, and you just leave it alone and see what it does. Thanks, buddy. Shop's definitely on my radar. I don't know that there's going to be a drop. I mean, the reason that like Micron's doing what it's doing and SanDisk are bidding up today is Hynix came out over the weekend. Oh, I got to jump. Hynix came out over the weekend and said they're going to have to increase their stuff by like 8x. So, so we'll go from there. Ralph Lauren just does not give any crap whatsoever, right? They just don't care. They just keep rocking. Is that what it is? 14 now? I think AVGO makes a lot of sense. There's too many puts, I think, dude. All right, I got to jump. Trade to win. Make good choices. Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble.